Hey guys, it is Arika Misha. Thank you guys so much for clicking on today's video. And as you guys can tell by the title, this title, when I was spending time with God, it was so funny to me how God led me to. Let me give you guys the scripture. God gave me the scripture, led me to the scripture of Genesis, the 6th, 8th, and the ninth chapter. And of course, when you go there, you will find that it talks about Noah. Noah building the ark, God going to Noah, telling him to build the ark because the flood was coming. And, you go read about that. And today's title, it reminded me of Noah. Just looking down at my notes, it reminded me of Noah. Noah building the ark, and the people laughed at Noah, didn't believe Noah that the flood was coming, and God was, flooding everything away, cleansing. He was doing the purging, and it reminded me of Noah when God was talking to me and speaking to me. And, I was talking to God, and I was just telling God, God had shared something with me. And God had told me something. And you know how it is when God shares something with you and God tells you something. And sometimes, he may lead us to go share it with others, tell others. And sometimes he may lead us to be quiet and don't share. Sometimes he does that. And, this particular thing, God, said it was okay to share. And I shared it with some family and some friends. And how can I say this? How can I put this? They didn't believe me. And I should let me back up. Some didn't believe. Some was like, okay, that's a bit much. That's a little bit. That's a reach. That's too much. Some felt that it was impossible. Some felt like, okay, well, how are you gonna do that when you don't have this? Or how are you gonna do that when you don't have this? And God just, was talking to me as I was talking to God, and I was like, God, you said it was okay to share. It's like, just like with Noah, when Noah was talking to the people laughed at Noah, didn't believe Noah. And, it just reminded me of Noah. It reminded me of the whole Noah and the ark situation, And I was just talking to God about it, and God was like, just like with Noah, just like they didn't believe Noah, just like they didn't believe what he was saying, and they laughed at him and they thought he looked this stupid building that ark, And that's what God said to me. God said, don't worry about it. God said, the only thing that matters is what you and I discuss. God said, the only thing that matters is what we discuss. God said, the only thing that matters is what I tell you, what I promise you, the direction that I give you. He said, that's all that matters. He said, it's up to them to believe. It's up to them. He said, the only thing that matters is I told you. Excuse me. He said, I told you and I showed you. And he said, that's enough. He said, but see, a lot of times when we share things with people, their unbelief can make us question the situation. Their unbelief can cause us to kind of side-eye God and doubt a little bit and be like, well, did he really, cause us to question what it is that God said to us? Other people's unbelief. And I said, God, well, here it is, I'm sharing. You said it was okay to share. You gave me the okay. You gave me the thumbs up. You said I could. And God said, yeah. He said, yes, because I wanted you to share. I wanted you to tell and tell the goodness of God. He said, because even though some may believe and some may doubt and some side-eyeing, God said, when it happens, God said, they'll know it was me. They'll know it was me. And I said, oh, okay, God, you're right. You're right. You're right, God. And that brought me comfort, you know. And at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is God. What God said do. What God told you to do. What God showed you. Only God. Because we could be surrounded by unbelievers. But if God told you, that's what it is. That's what it is. Don't let nobody make you doubt. Don't let nobody try to tell you, oh, no, that's not it. Or don't let doubt creep in and try to make you think it's something that it's not. And you thought it was this, but it's not that. And you thought it was God, but it wasn't God. And just to bring in confusion. Don't let doubt do that. Just stay faithful. Trust God. Stay focused on God. And if God told you, if God showed you, if God promised you something, believe it will come to pass. It will come to pass. You know? And I find in my waiting, that's what gets me. Sometimes in my waiting, for God to allow the promise to come through. I find in my waiting is why I get a little worried. I'm like, okay, God, you told me this was going to happen. It's been a year. It's been 2 years. It's been 3 years. And it's that time, it's in that waiting where we get doubtful. But, our time isn't God's time. So all we can do is just trust God, stay faithful, trust God, and just focus on Him. And that's what God wanted me to come and talk about today. Stay faithful, stay focused on God. God bless.